When did you notice that hope could hurt as much as despair? I was 11 when I learned that hope wasn't always the gift people said it was. Up until then, I thought hope was the thing that carried you through dark times, the lantern you held onto when the world around you grew dim. But that year, it turned into a knife I held too tightly, cutting deeper the longer I refused to let it go. It started the day my father left. There wasn't some huge blow-up fight or dramatic goodbye, just a strange quietness in the house one morning. His work boots were gone from the mudroom, his jacket was missing from the hook by the door, and his truck wasn't in the driveway. At first, I thought maybe he had left early for work, but the look on my mother's face told me different. She looked like someone had pulled all the strings out of her, leaving her hollow. When I asked, "Where's Dad?" she just said, "He needs some time away." That was it. No explanation, no timeline, just time away. At 11, you don't really understand what time away means. To me, it meant a week, maybe two. Grown-ups go away for business trips, right? They come back. They always come back. And so, I clung to hope. I believed he'd walk back in through that door with his boots muddy, smelling of cigarettes and motor oil, dropping his keys on the counter like nothing had happened. Every night for weeks, I sat on the couch by the window. I'd tell my little sister Claire, "Dad's just late tonight. He'll be back." She was 7, and she believed me. She'd press her face to the glass, looking out at the empty street, whispering, "Do you think he'll bring me candy?" I always said yes, even though my chest tightened every time. That was the thing. Hope didn't just keep me going. It kept her going too. And that meant when it cracked, when it failed, it hurt twice as much. The first month, I tried to convince myself the silence was temporary. Every creak of the floorboards made my heart race. Every car slowing down in front of our house sent me sprinting to the window. I even started leaving the porch light on, because I thought maybe he'd come home late and not want to fumble with the lock in the dark. But weeks turned into months, and the routines of absence settled in. My mom started cooking less, like making a real meal for 3 people was too heavy. Some nights she just handed us cereal and went to bed early, her door closed tight. Holidays slipped by, stripped down to their bare bones. Thanksgiving was sandwiches at the kitchen counter. Christmas morning was 1 gift each, wrapped in dollar store paper. Still, I kept waiting. I carried that hope to school too. My teacher once asked me to write about family traditions, and I scribbled down this story about how my dad used to take me fishing. She smiled and said, "That must be nice." I smiled back like it was still true, like the last fishing trip hadn't been over a year ago. When kids asked where my dad was, I'd shrug and say, "Busy with work." I didn't want their pity, and I didn't want to say the truth out loud, because saying it felt like letting go. The cruelest part was that sometimes he'd call. Once every few months the phone would ring, and it would be his voice on the other end. Always short, always hurried. "Hey champ, how's school?" I'd sit there clutching the receiver, spilling every little detail just to keep him on the line. But then he'd say, "I'll see you soon," and hang up. "See you soon." That phrase kept me alive and destroyed me at the same time, because soon never came. The breaking point was my 12th birthday. I told everyone, my mom, my sister, even the neighbor kid who sometimes played basketball with me, that Dad was coming. He'd said it on the phone 2 weeks earlier. He promised. I set the table with 4 plates. Claire wore her favorite dress. I even dug out one of his old records and set it spinning on the dusty turntable, imagining him walking in, grinning, saying, "You didn't think I'd miss this, did you?" We waited. 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9. Claire fell asleep at the table, her head resting on her folded arms. My mom tried to tell me to pack it up, but I refused. "He's coming," I snapped. "He said he would." My voice cracked so hard it echoed in the silence. By midnight, the record had stopped spinning. The cake my mom baked sat untouched, candles unlit, and I sat in that chair, staring at the door, choking on the sharpness of a hope that had long since curdled into despair. That was the night I realized hope wasn't always a lantern. Sometimes it was a chain. Despair hurt, yes, but at least despair was honest. Hope lied. Hope strung me along, made me wait at windows, made me hold plates at dinner tables that never got filled. Despair might have crushed me, but hope made me crush myself over and over again. Years later, as an adult, I see it everywhere. In breakups, when you keep checking your phone for a text that never comes. In dead-end jobs, when you tell yourself things will get better if you just hold on a little longer. In friendships that rot quietly, where you cling to the memory of what it used to be, instead of accepting what it is. Hope can heal. Hope can inspire. But it can also keep you trapped in rooms with locked doors, staring at them long after you should have walked away. For me, hope stopped being beautiful on my 12th birthday, with an empty chair at the table and a record player spinning in silence. That's when I finally understood. Sometimes letting go of hope hurts less than holding on to it.